In my previous life, on my wedding night, it was not my husband who came, but his third younger brother. I was utterly powerless, screaming desperately for help, yet not a soul in the entire Marquis mansion came to my aid. My husband stayed out all night. The next day, his face dark with fury. He berated me as shameless, a disgrace to the family unworthy of being the Marquis' wife. Within half a month, he married my younger half-sister, making her the Marquis' new mistress. He severed the tendons in my hands and feet, poisoned my throat to silence me, and confined me to the woodshed to be abused at will. In the dead of a bitter winter night, when I was clinging to my last breath, he casually revealed the truth. He had always loved my younger sister. Approaching me was merely a stepping stone to secure her marriage into the Marquis. On their wedding night, he held her in the next room while listening to my cries. He called it the finest gift he could give her. As my last breath left me, my heart brimmed with unresolved hatred. When I opened my eyes, I found myself back before my wedding day. Since they once slandered me as a wicked woman, this time I shall grant their wish, returning every torment tenfold. In the gloomy woodshed, my body lay frail and broken. The servant who pulled up his trousers and left spat under his breath. What noble lady, what martial daughter, just a whore ridden by thousands. A thick phlegm spit landed beside me. He stared at me with contempt, his face twisted in scorn. If old General Shen knew his legitimate daughter was languishing in this young Marquis woodshed, living worse than a dog, he'd surely regret it. Let me tell you, old General Shen died by the hands of the old Marquis. My throat had long been poisoned into silence, my tendons severed by Liang Zhao, my martial arts completely crippled. Hearing this, I could only weakly bang my head against the wall, seeing the two streams of clear tears, my fingers bleeding from clutching the ground so tightly. The servant then crouched down, pinching my chin. You'd be better off dead already, sparing yourself this agony. The Marquis and his wife were deeply devoted to each other. Now, who in the capital doesn't know that second Miss Xing is the true mistress of the Yunyang Marquis household? The servant slammed the door shut. Outside, the mocking laughter of several servants echoed. Truly befitting a precious golden-born young miss. We've never known such pleasures, all thanks to the Marquis' kindness toward us. I lay on the haystack in the woodshed, my clothes torn to tatters. The kitchen maid who brought my meal was a kind soul. Miss, eat something. Better to live miserably than die well. I had no strength left. The cook went to fetch Liang Zhaoxiang and Xing Ruwei. Xing Ruwei pinched her nose, looking down on me with disdain. Eldest sister, you've suffered. We confined you to the woodshed for reflection. Yet you've become entangled with those servants. Only our stepmother remains in the Xing household now. She would never come to your rescue. Give up that hope. Liang Zhao delivered a vicious kick to my solar plexus. The mere sight of you sickens me. As the eldest sister, you bully your younger sibling within the manor. I can scarcely imagine what Wei Wei has endured all these years. You're as venomous as a scorpion. The suffering you've endured doesn't hold a candle to the torment my Wei Wei has endured. So, in Xing Ruwei's words, I was the venomous legitimate sister who tormented her daily. Liang Zhao pressed his foot down on my neck. He seemed to notice the bruise there and ground his heel into it with renewed ferocity. Xing Rujue. What pains me most is her mother's lowly origins. She tiptoes through your household, ever cautious. Why must you be Rujueru, meaning precious jade, while she is Ruwei, forced to live in constant fear? You deserve this. If my mother hadn't forced me to marry you, this hypocritical legitimate daughter, a mother's command is hard to defy. I never would have set this trap. On our wedding night, I sent my brainless younger half-brother into your room. Xing Rujue. You have no idea how I and Ruwei listened to your screams from the next room that night. For my Wei Wei, I'd do anything. I could only utter incoherent sounds as Xing Ruwei wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. Sister, I hate you. Not a single day passes without my hatred for you. You are the exalted legitimate daughter. Our mother was a noble lady born into the Duke's household. Yet my mother was merely a lowly kitchen maid. Our brothers share the same mother as you. And you share a deep bond as siblings. Father and the legitimate mother put on that false show of deep marital affection. If their love were truly deep, why did he father children with other women? I know you've been kind to me, but I still hate you. Now. Only the legitimate mother remains in the Xing household. You don't know yet, do you? Second brother died on the battlefield. It was I who delayed the Marquis supplies. Second brother is dead. Does it hurt your heart? I slowly closed my eyes. The pain in my body gradually fading. I heard Xingruwei and Liang Zhao's laughter, and I died in this humiliating winter night. Young lady. Excessive wisdom inevitably leads to injury. You must not exhaust your mind. The sound of a wooden fish gong rang out. I snapped my eyes open to find myself kneeling in the center of the Buddhist hall. The abbot stroked his beard. Observing my dazed expression, he spoke again. Excessive wisdom borders on demonic. Extreme brilliance inevitably leads to injury. All things in the world are bound by karmic law. Flowers may bloom again, but youth never returns. You must cherish your blessings. Young lady. I looked up at the divine statues in the main hall, thinking I was in a dream. Yet outside, incense smoke swirled and purple wisps curled upward. It didn't feel like a dream. Had I come back to life? Aunt Zhang smoothed the folds from my skirt. Young lady, let us offer incense too, today. The Dowager of Marquis Yunyang will come to the mansion to request your birth chart. We ought to make an appearance. Her words had barely left her lips when memories surged like a tidal wave, twisting my heart like a knife. Coming to my senses, I murmured. But what if one could truly be young again? Before the abbot could answer, a voice calling sister shattered the temple's tranquility. Xingruwei scampered into the hall. Sister, the peach blossoms outside the temple are in full bloom. Let's go see them together. In my past life, the Marquis of Yunyani Beitrathet had fallen for Xingruwei at first sight outside Puji Temple. Yet he defied his mother's will, forcing me into marriage. He destroyed my virtue, tarnished my reputation, and within half a month, took Xingruwei as his wife and mistress of the Marquis household. Noticing my troubled expression, Xingruwei simply held my hand. Sister, why aren't you speaking? Seeing the clarity in her eyes, I replied softly. Am not feeling well. I'd like to return to the manor today. If you wish to admire the flowers, leave a few maids and servants to accompany second sister. As the incense was lit and placed in the burner, its flickering red glow danced. I remarked to the nearby Nanny Zhang. Look at that incense, it burns so brightly. Nanny Zhang smiled and replied, your wish will surely be granted. Young lady, indeed. If I cannot fulfill my wish in this lifetime, it would be a waste of my second chance at life. But unlike in my previous life, Xingruwei did not go to admire the peach blossoms. Instead, she sat quietly in the carriage and returned to the Xing residence with me. Upon entering the gates, I saw the Dowager of Yunyang Marquis. She was gentle and approachable, her smile radiant, just as captivating as ever. Spotting me, the Dowager simply chuckled. At last, I see Ruoju today. Once you marry my Zhao in half a year, we'll truly be family. I merely curtsied slightly, offering no reply. Outside, a sudden downpour began. Raindrops pelted the eaves, splashing into the water jars beneath and sending ripples spreading in concentric circles. It was at this moment that Liang Zhao entered the Xing residence. Under his oil paper umbrella, he gazed at the Dowager with a smile. Mother, the evening wind is fierce. Worried you might catch a chill. I came personally to fetch you. The peach blossoms outside Puji Temple have bloomed. I specially picked a few branches for you. His gaze lingered on Xingruwei's face. After a moment of startled silence, he bowed his hands and said, how are my two younger sisters? Xingruwei flushed slightly. I smiled. Rijue is unwell today and cannot converse with your lordship and the grand lady. I'm afraid mother and second sister will have to keep you company instead. After stepping outside the gate, Auntie Zhang whispered, young lady. The look in his lordship's eyes towards second young lady just now wasn't quite proper. You must be more cautious. I gazed back at the flower hall through my umbrella. I'd love to see those two become a couple already. Returning to my spring bud pavilion, I felt as if I'd stepped into another world. I flopped onto the bed, listening to the steady patter of rain outside. Nanny Zheng warmed a pot of clear tea. Second brother had just returned from the western garrison camp and made a special detour to Yang's shop to bring me my favorite pastries. Rujue. With eldest brother handling affairs in Jizhou and second brother stationed year-round at the western suburb garrison. If you dislike the marriage proposal from the Yunyang Marquis household, second brother will personally refuse it for you. That young Marquis looks like a pretty boy, utterly untrustworthy. Just as the Grand Dowager was leaving the estate, Mother specially requested that second brother and I accompany her to see the guests off, outside the Xing residence gates. Liang Zhao had glanced back several times at Xingrui, whose face was flushed crimson. Even Mother, though not the sharpest, could see something was amiss. Her expression turned cold, and the Grand Dowager cleared her throat. Only then did Liang Zhao assist the Grand Dowager into the carriage. Inside the Spring Blossom Pavilion, Mother said, "Did you see today? It seems to me the young Marquis favors your second sister more." Leaning against the reclining bed by the window, I replied, "Mother, if my second sister has more fortune than I, let her marry him. I have no interest in that young Marquis anyway. When Spring Maiden passed away, you, with your kind motherly heart, took my second sister in. Now, regarding her marriage, you mustn't show any partiality." Mother sighed. "And what about you?" I smiled. "The abbot of Puji Temple once said I have a karmic connection with Buddhism. Father died in battle. My eldest brother manages the family business abroad, and my second brother is often stationed at the western garrison, rarely returning home. If Mother would build a small Buddhist shrine for her daughter, I would gladly chant sutras daily to pray for the Xing family's blessings." Nonsense. What girl doesn't marry? My voice grew low as I touched my throat, suddenly recalling the scene from my past life where Liang Zhao had stomped mercilessly on my neck. What if I marry, only to be schemed against by my husband's family, locked away in a place without sunlight, enduring humiliation day after day? Mother, there are countless suitors in this world. Why would you encounter only the wicked ones? I said no more, simply lying across Mother's lap. Mother, I refuse to marry into the Marquis household. As I drifted off, I heard only a sigh. If you want marry, then so be it. Several days later, Mother and second brother arrived at the Marquis gates together. They refused the marriage proposal, citing my prolonged illness as making me unfit for the duties of a noble household. As the peach blossoms faded, I spent my days riding and archery training with my second brother at the martial arts grounds. Meanwhile, Xingrui always found reasons to leave the estate. The capable maid by Zhang's side kept a watchful eye on her daily movements, nothing more than her trysts with the Marquis of Yunyang outside the estate, until the grand lattice invitation was sent to the Xing household once more, summoning all the women of the family to the Marquis estate for her birthday banquet. Xingrui dressed with meticulous care. I deliberately adorned her with rare jewels, her head crowned with pearls and jade, radiating boundless opulence. The Xing family carriage pulled up at the Yunyang Marquis residence. Guests were guided by maids and servants to the flower hall, surveying the familiar surroundings of the Marquis estate. I clenched my teeth and followed closely behind Mother. The grand lady sat upon a high dais, the Marquis seated beside her. His gaze was tender yet resolute. Fixed upon Xingrui, a look the grand lady naturally noticed. Her crimson lips parted. "My son Zhao has reached a suitable age for marriage. The eldest daughter of the Lu family, Lu Yi, possesses both graceful bearing and gentle virtue. Not long ago, I finalized the match with the old Master Lu. Today, on this birthday banquet, I announce it for all to celebrate." Xingrui's expression gradually paled. She was still clinging to her delusions. She thought the dowager could approve her becoming the main wife of the Marquis household. In the previous life, The dowager had forced Liang Zhao to marry me into the household only because she valued my status as a legitimate daughter and my mother's family's wealth and prestige. My mother was the only child of the late duke, and the entire Sun Duke's vast estate was destined for her. As her daughter, I too would inherit a substantial portion, ensuring the Marquis household would flourish. The Liu family's prestige was even greater. Old Master Liu had spent his life in military service, with several sons dying on the battlefield. Only Liu Yi, his late-teen life daughter, remained. She was raised like a precious jewel. The dowager's intentions were obvious upon slight reflection. I coldly observed Liang Zhao. That hypocritical man, feigning innocence. Men are always fickle and unprincipled. To him, marrying anyone served his interests. Marrying Liu Yi meant wealth and advancement, while marrying Xing Ruwei fulfilled youthful affection. Xing Ruwei stormed out in indignation, and I watched as Liang Zhao secretly followed her. I strolled over to Liu Yi. We had always been somewhat acquainted, so I said, my head feels a bit heavy. Shall we go for a walk? Look at those noble ladies, they're all teasing you. Let's step outside and escape for a while. She nodded. We walked along the outer eaves corridor, following a familiar path until I led Liu Yi to the home mansion's garden. From within the rockery, we heard a woman's sobs and a man's comforting voice. Liu Yi and I exchanged a glance. Then the man's voice spoke. That Liu family girl is as plain as salt. If she weren't the only child of old Master Liu, and if my mother didn't covet their family fortune, for the Yunyang Marquis household isn't exactly flush with cash these days, me mother wouldn't have set her sights on her. Don't be angry. Even if I marry her, they'll find a way to bring you in too. Liu Yi was terrified, her face turning deathly pale. I squeezed her hand and whispered, if the match is with the wrong man, it's better not to marry at all. Liu Yi, too, came from a distinguished military family. She couldn't stomach such a hidden humiliation. She circled around to the rockery, landed a punch on the young Marquis, then turned to look at Xing Ruwei and glanced at me. Rujue, she's your own sister. You teach her yourself. Whoever wants this marriage can have it. My entire Liu family is loyal and heroic. Do you think we'd let ourselves be wiped out? The commotion outside alerted the grand lady and the relatives. Everyone bypassed the eaves and came to the garden. Seeing this scene, everyone naturally understood what had happened. The grand dowager's face turned ashen. Zhao, what are you doing? I stepped forward at the right moment. Taking Xing Ruwei's hand, my younger sister and the young Marquis shared deep affection. Just now, he said he would do everything in his power to marry my second sister into his household. I implore you, Grand Dowager, to grant your blessing. The Grand Dowager eyed me suspiciously, as if trying to figure out what I was up to. After all, I had once been betrothed to the Marquis of Yunyang, though only the marriage contracts had been exchanged. No formal betrothal gifts had been presented. Yet many in the vast capital of Bianjing knew of it. Xing Ruwei now looked at me in astonishment. I continued slowly. Second sister was raised from childhood at mother's side. Mother cherished her as if she were her own flesh and blood. The dowager's voice turned icy. To raise a daughter from a distinguished family to such shamelessness. My son is an inherited Marquis. For a maiden to seduce my son in such a manner, bringing shame upon him. Do you truly expect me to welcome such a woman into my household? Liu Yi was already furious. I glanced at her, and she stormed over to her mother, repeating the Marquis of Yunyang's words verbatim. Madame Liu's face flushed alternately pale and crimson. She could only twitch her lips. Since things have escalated to this point today, the marriage between the Marquis of Yunyang and the Liu family is hereby called off. All the ladies present today are from distinguished families. I implore you to pretend nothing happened, lest it bring shame upon my family and the Marquis household. The Grand Dowager reached to take Lady Liu's hand, but she deftly avoided it. Xing Ruwei, however, wept like a pear blossom drenched in rain. This was my cue to fan the flames. Nanny Zhang, you recently had Hong Yu and Hong Xiu attend to second young miss outside the mansion. Have them inform the dowager now. I patted Xing Ruwei's hand. Your elder sister will see justice done. I shall secure you a most suitable match." Hong Yu and Hong Xiu knelt on the ground. The eldest miss has always been most attentive to the second miss. Fearing she might stumble or fall during outings, she always had Mother Zhang instruct us to secretly protect her. We were both trained as female guards by the eldest young master, though we usually disguised ourselves as maidservants. During those days, we witnessed the Marquis and our second young miss admiring flowers, attending poetry gatherings, and embracing in the cabin. Many riverside households recall it. Moreover, the Marquis lavishly spent on our second young miss, presenting numerous precious jewels from Tang's. The proprietor of Tang's is also aware. The grand lattice face turned ashen. I never knew my son and the second young miss shared such deep affection. I turned to look at Xing Ruwei. Ruwei, I ask you plainly, is your affection for the Marquis mutual? Ruwei glanced at Liang Zhao, who naturally couldn't bear to see the beauty weeping. He knelt on the ground. Mother, I beg you to go to Ruwei's home and propose marriage. I wish to formally wed Ruwei as the Marquis' main wife. I watched the scene unfold with a cold smile, while Xing Ruwei stood dumbfounded. Perhaps she hadn't yet had the chance to weep and slander me to Liang Zhao, detailing how ID mistreated her. Today, ID arranged her perfect marriage. Did she truly believe life in the Marquis household would be easy? A man's momentary affection could never withstand the awkwardness of a Marquis household reduced to an empty shell, devoid of silver and resources. The dowager was now caught between a rock and a hard place. Gritting her teeth, she nodded fiercely. Very well. Yet the venom in her gaze toward Xing Ruwei only deepened. I helped Xing Ruwei to her feet and we left the Marquis residence. Inside the carriage, Xing Ruwei looked at me uncertainly. Sister, you don't mind? I stroked her temple. Silly little sister. How could I possibly mind? Seeing you find such a good match fills me with joy. They'll take pleasure in watching you get swallowed whole by the Marquis you once dreamed of. I smiled then. Fear not. The Marquis residence is so opulent. You'll surely have a splendid life there. In the days before your wedding, they'll often take you out to see the world and buy you many precious jewels and fine garments. The higher you lift someone up, the more lavish the gifts you give, the harder it will be for her to accept the fall. News of that day's events spread far and wide. People grew increasingly contemptuous of the young Marquis, Liang Zhao, especially after rumors spread about his scheme to seize another household's assets. Now, noble young ladies avoid the Yunyang Marquis residence like the plague. Xing Ruwei now found herself in an impossible situation. The dowry her mother had prepared for her was merely a combination of the dowry given to Chen Xianyang years ago, supplemented by items from the Xing family. Her maternal grandfather's family would not give her a single thing. These past days, I've been scouring the capital for exquisite jewelry and splendid gowns. She no longer fancies the simple hairpins she once cherished, nor does she care for her former everyday attire. Her current finery is so extravagant that she outshines even the legitimate daughters of ordinary noble families. The grand lady remained passive, which only heightened her anxiety. She threw a tantrum daily. Mother and second brother, ever straightforward, treated Xing Ruwei with cool indifference now that the family's reputation had suffered. Unlike their former affection, then came word that a merchant's daughter from the southern frontier had arrived at the Yunyang Marquis residence, where the Grand Duchess treated her as an honored guest. Xing Ruwei grew desperate. Kneeling before her mother, she pleaded, "Mother, I beg you go to my maternal family and ask them to add to my trousseau. I must have support when I marry into the Marquis household. That Grand Duchess. If the Marquis of Yunyang marries her, how can I possibly hold my head up?" Her mother only sneered coldly. Ruwei, I never knew you had a secret affair with the Marquis of Yunyang, and it's with the family your elder sister once discussed marriage with. At the Marquis banquet, the Liu family's daughter caught you two meeting in secret. Couldn't you have listened to the Marquis words? His family is now seeking brides everywhere, only to covet the dowry and the bride's maternal family. Ruwei, though you are not my biological child, I never wished to see you thrown into the fire pit. But what you've done now is truly outrageous. Qing Rui's eyes burned crimson. You are my legitimate mother. The act has finally worn thin. Hasn't it? All these years, you've painstakingly played the role of the virtuous wife everyone praises, treating your husband's daughter from another woman as your own. You've grown accustomed to this hypocritical facade. But now, the charade can no longer be sustained. Mother was visibly shaken. Just as I was about to speak, eldest brother returned from business in Jizhou, and second brother entered at the same moment. Hearing Qing Rui's words, eldest brother frowned. Rui, you've gone too far. Second brother took mother's hand. Qing Rui's eyes reddened. Pointing at us, she shouted, Fine, fine. You're the loving mother and dutiful children, while I've become the outsider. She turned and ran back to her room. I looked at mother and my brothers and said slowly, Mother and brothers, there's no need to worry about Rui. The Yunyang Marquis household will come to propose marriage. Eldest brother's voice was icy. I thought withdrawing Ruju's betrothal would sever our family's ties to the Marquis household. I've uncovered intricate connections between father's death and the Yunyang Marquis estate. Night deepened. Mother had long since retired. In the study, the three of us siblings were discussing matters. My eldest brother spoke slowly. Our trip to Jizhou served two purposes: to manage the family business and to secretly track down the soldiers and officers responsible for reinforcing father during his final battle. We've found some leads, and it seems the old Marquis was involved, though he's dead now. The Yunyang Marquis household still seeks to form a marriage alliance with ours. I fear their motives extend beyond merely coveting the Marquis estate. Images suddenly flashed through my mind. The Yunyang Marquis household seemed to have close ties with the imperial family. The imperial family of the Shao clan. My second brother abruptly covered my mouth, exchanging a glance with my eldest brother. It seemed they both already knew the truth. Ruju, be careful with your words. Our general's household can't withstand any more turmoil. Mother has been a widow for many years. There are things she must never learn. The western garrison sent men to fetch my second brother, who hurriedly mounted his horse and left the manor. My eldest brother watched his retreating figure. Slowly, he spoke. When I was in Jizhou, I had a dream. I dreamt you married into the Marquis household, living a life worse than death. Your second brother was betrayed and died on the battlefield. The Xing household became an empty shell, and your second sister took your place to marry into the Marquis household. Eldest brother, why let a nightmare affect you? You need only treat waking from the dream as an opportunity to start anew. We must also be more vigilant. My eldest brother nodded. Qing Rui sat sulking in my spring blossom pavilion. Her eyes were red and tearful. The maidservant stood by, somewhat at a loss, though thankfully she dared not throw things in my presence. Seeing me approach, she grabbed my arm, her tone growing more resentful. Sister, has Liang Zhao truly stopped caring for me? After just a few days apart, he's cast me aside. In this entire household, only you, sister, have ever treated me with genuine kindness. Yet now, not only has the lady not come to propose marriage, but they've welcomed a woman into the mansion as an honored guest. If Liang Zhao were to develop feelings for her, I'd become the laughingstock of all Bianjing City. I patted her hand. Liang Zhao certainly cherishes you, but since the dowager lady refuses to come, you must find a way to have Liang Zhao come for you himself. Qing Rui stroked her belly softly. Sister, my monthly has been late. I fear I might be. I cleared my throat and exchanged a glance with Zhang Nanny. Zhang Nanny, take brother's calling card and go outside to summon a physician from the renowned clinic to examine second sister. Qing Rui's face flushed crimson. She still didn't know that these past days, I'd laced her sweet soup with medicine to delay her menstruation. The physician we summoned naturally declared her pregnant. Nanny Zhang dispatched someone to inform the Yunyang Marquis residents. Yet by the next day, the Marquis matriarch reluctantly came to propose the marriage. The wedding was set for the 8th day of the coming month, and the merchant's daughter from that household entered the Xing residence before nightfall. the dowager caused quite a scene in the mansion. So I left. She couldn't very well keep me there. I drew her close. I must thank Sister Rian for traveling all this way to help. Otherwise, how would my dear sister have known to be so anxious? Rian looked at me, though I don't know your calculations. You must have your reasons. I want Pry. Had I not taken my mother's surname? And had the dowager not known of the kinship between the Su family of Ningzhou and the Sheng family's collateral branch, she likely wouldn't have taken the bait so easily. I smiled. Thank you for everything. Sister. Rian nodded and slipped out of the city under cover of night. Looking back at Sheng Rui's orchid bamboo courtyard, the lights still burned brightly. She must be overjoyed now. Marrying into the Marquis household. But what scene would unfold on their wedding night when her husband, still infatuated with her, personally exposed the truth of her fake pregnancy? I truly look forward to it. Watching her plunge into the hell of marriage, that position of Marquis' wife she'd coveted for 2 lifetimes won't be so easy to claim. On the 8th day, the wedding palanquin arrived. I deliberately added to her trousseau, packing 2 large chests of precious jewelry. I watched as Liang Zhao personally helped her into the sedan door. Nanny Zheng whispered beside me, "Young miss, why must you give the second young miss so many things? The whole city of Bianjing treats them both as a laughingstock. Why elevate her further? Keep those treasures for yourself. Why fill that deep pit of the Marquis mansion for nothing?" I smiled faintly. Nanny Zhang, do you recall the wish I made at Puji Temple? It seems it's about to come true. Nanny Zhang was utterly baffled. Many guests from the Sheng household had arrived. My 2 elder brothers and I assisted mother in toasting the congratulatory visitors. My eldest brother whispered, "The 3rd young master of the Marquis household is deeply in debt now. He's even secretly mortgaged several of the Marquis estates." I toasted while laughing. "Brother, you're always so calculating. Let that 3rd young master continue his downward spiral. The Grand Duchess is too busy managing the household affairs to care about the troubles her illegitimate son stirs up." Eldest brother, I shall certainly go with the flow, but the Marquis household is still the Marquis household. Bringing it down will take time. No rush. No rush. The play must unfold slowly to be truly entertaining. After the guests departed, Spring Blossom Pavilion fell silent. Matron Zhang warmed a pot of sobering tea. "Young miss, drink this and retire early." I took the cup. Outside, the wind grew louder. Holding the cup aloft, I raised a distant toast toward the Yunyang Marquis residence. "This time, I want rest until you're finished." On the day of Sheng Rui's 3rd post-wedding visit to her parents' home, her face was thickly powdered, yet it couldn't conceal the dark circles beneath her eyes. She seemed quite pleased with the maids and servants addressing her as Lady Marquis, but upon seeing me, she couldn't help but burst into bitter tears. "Sister, you don't know, on our wedding night, I unexpectedly got my period." Liang Zhao went mad, beating and cursing me, calling me a fraud. He said I forced him to abandon the Su family's wealth and prestige to marry someone like me. He called me poisonous as a scorpion, accusing me of trying to deceive him with a fake pregnancy. But I hadn't had my period for 1 or 2 months. How could I know I wasn't pregnant? Besides, the physician had said. Nanny Zhang interjected. That physician we summoned was a relative of the Yunyang Marquis' wife. This old servant truly believed him trustworthy. I feigned shock. The Marquis' wife schemes for others' fortunes. Yet you and Liang Zhao were truly in love. I hear that merchant's daughter has already left Bianjing. Surely it was the Marquis' wife. Sheng Ruwei gritted her teeth. I knew it. That old hag is still scheming to bring another concubine into the household for Liang Zhao. I am now the mistress of the Marquis mansion. How could I tolerate another woman entering? Besides, the mansion is just an empty shell now. The moment I stepped in, that old witch set her sights on the trousseau my elder sister gave me. Those 2 chests of precious jewelry, she gazed at them as if they were her own mother. No wonder she welcomed me into the house. It was all to trample me underfoot. Second sister, you must be more vigilant. If Liang Zhao strikes you, don't let him be snatched away by someone else. Sheng Ruwei clenched her handkerchief. Let's see who dares to snatch him. After dining together, Qing Ruwei and Liang Zhao returned to their quarters. Hong Yu and Hong Xiu, who had been close to Qing Ruwei's bridal maids from the start, had also uncovered some hidden details. On their wedding night, after Qing Ruwei drank the union wine, the third young master of the Marquis household had lingered suspiciously outside the chamber. Only by cutting her finger with a knife had Qing Ruwei managed to stay awake. Liang Zhao hadn't entered the bridal chamber until late into the night. I sneered coldly. The Yunyang Marquis household remains as disgraceful as ever. Hong Yu whispered. Miss Ruwei seemed to foresee what the Marquis intended. The next day, she dismissed several servants. Those close to her say these dismissed servants were actually found dead in the estate's well. The game seemed to grow more entertaining by the minute. My second younger sister, it appeared, was keeping quite a few secrets from me. Suddenly, I recalled her actions at Puji Temple. She hadn't rushed off to admire the peach blossoms like she had in my previous life. An answer dawned on me. She, too, seemed to have been reborn. Just like me. If she too had been reborn, then surely after my death in the previous life, her fate wouldn't have been much better. That's why she schemed so meticulously, using my desire for revenge to push me into the Marquis residence. How amusing. But what makes her think I would ever forgive her, even if she slaughtered every last member of the Marquis household? What right would she have to beg my forgiveness? 1 month later, it was Liang Zhao's birthday. Qing Ruwei sent an invitation early. The third young master's debts were as numerous as cow hairs. Many of the Marquis's properties had already been seized by creditors. For now, they lay dormant. The matriarch, still unaware that the Marquis's assets had all become others. My brother and I intended to prepare a grand gift for the Marquis. Second brother held considerable prestige in the military and had privately gathered substantial evidence of the Yunyang Marquis household maintaining private armies. Over the years, much of the Marquis' wealth had been funneled to the Prince of Shu. The emperor was not blind. He agreed to play along with our charade. He even summoned Liang Zhao and the Dowager Marquises to the palace, bestowing numerous gifts ostensibly to celebrate Liang Zhao's birthday. The very next day, these items appeared at the escort agencies, along with Qing Ruwei's dowry. All those precious jewels were distributed among various escort agencies in Bianjing City, destined for the Shu prince's residence in Shu territory. Dispatching agents to Shu to uncover the relationship between the Shu king and the dowager wasn't difficult. Cousin Rian's business network spanned the land. After sending a single letter, she immediately dispatched people to investigate. Within half a month, my brother and I learned the story of the dowager and the Shu king's childhood romance in Bianjing. Long residing in Shu, the prince had once harbored ambitions to raise an army in rebellion, marching back to Bianjing to seize the imperial capital. Unfortunately, Shu's meager resources meant the prince had little silver to fund his ambitions. All these years, he relied entirely on the dowager lattice secret shipments of silver. After the old Marquis passed away, she even offered to hand over the vast Marquis to the Prince of Shu. To my surprise, Cousin Rian also sent a letter. It was the letter the dowager lady had sent to the Shu kingdom years ago, after General Xing had exposed her correspondence with the Shu king, causing the old Marquis to suspect her. In that letter, the dowager lady had implored the Shu king to send someone to help her sow discord between the old Marquis and the Xing family. The old Marquis, kept in the dark, gullibly believed the slanders of petty schemers. Convinced his father harbored ill intent, he exploited the chaos of war to deliberately delay reinforcements, leading to his father's death. Later, upon learning the truth, the old Marquis fell gravely ill. After months of lingering on his deathbed, he too passed away. Thus, the entire Yunyang Marquis fell into the hands of the dowager. What a masterstroke! First she kills her father, then plots to marry me. If she schemes to eliminate my 2 brothers next, with mother frail and the maternal inheritance hers alone, once mother is gone, it all falls to me. Then shall find ways to seize it, fearing nothing. Shall devour both the Marquis of Sun and our entire Xing family. Truly, 1 arrow kills 3 birds. Not only does this prevent the entire Xing family from investigating father's death, it also destroys the Xing clan while securing vast wealth and inheritance. The Grand Duchess truly planned this with profound foresight for the Prince of Shu. Both my eldest and second brothers seethed with indignation. We all waited for Liang Zhao's birthday to expose these people's true color. R.S. On the day we visited Puji Temple, the abbot smiled and said, "Young lady, all phenomena are empty, yet cause and effect endure. Everything is bound by karma. Cause and effect exist, but what defines them? What if we reverse the order? The evil consequences of the past become the causes of this life." The abbot smiled and departed. A familiar voice sounded behind me. It was Liang Zhao. "Young lady, I trust you are well. You're my sister's husband now. You should address me as auntie." Just as Ru Wei does. Liang Zhao's expression shifted slightly. Ru Ju often visits this serene Buddhist sanctuary. It's rare for me to encounter her here. I suppose there's some karmic connection at play. Is there something you need? Your lordship. Liang Zhao. Would auntie be so kind as to accompany me for a brief conversation in the woods? That would be improper. I'm afraid I cannot comply. If you have business, Lord Marquis, simply state it plainly. Why beat around the bush? Nanny Zhang took a step back. Liang Zhao suddenly grabbed my hand. "Ru Ju I underestimated how I fell for Xing Rui's scheme. Had she not tried to seduce me, I would never have stooped to her level. Now she's schemed her way into the Marquis, becoming the mistress of my Yunyang Marquis. Yet I find myself less joyful than I'd imagined. She is not the partner my heart desires. I flung my hand away with disdain. You were the one who loved her first. You were the one who met her in secret. You were the one who declared your mutual affection on in public. And now, before me, your elder sister, you dare discuss my younger sister's faults. Does it not strike you as improper? Your lordship." Liang Zhao gave a self-deprecating chuckle. "Mother urged me to marry a legitimate daughter, not one of concubine birth, but I wouldn't listen. Back then, she was so gentle and considerate. I don't know why, but after she entered the manor, she deceived me with a fake pregnancy. Now she constantly tries to control me. If mother weren't backing me up, she'd probably be writing Reshad over me." He rubbed his hands together. "Ru Ju She's a concubine's daughter, while you're the legitimate heiress. If I were to ask mother to renew the marriage proposal now, to bring you in as my primary wife, would you accept? We could make Ru Wei a secondary wife." I shot him a cold stare. "Liang Zhao, you chose this path yourself. You must walk it to the end, even if you have to crawl. Isn't that so? She is the Marquise you personally selected. You must treat her well. Only then will you fulfill the vows of your 2 lifetimes as husband and wife." Liang Zhao froze. He shouted, "What 2 lifetimes? What 2 lifetimes of marital bonds? What secrets are you sisters hiding from me? Why did Xing Ruwei say the same thing? Why does she keep insisting we're bound by 2 lifetimes of marital bonds?" I turned and smiled. "I only said that because I sense my younger sister holds deep affection for you. Why not go ask Ruwei herself why she speaks that way?" Once aboard the Xing family carriage, Auntie Zhang finally scolded. "That Marquis is truly a lecher. In a sacred Buddhist sanctuary, he dared utter such outrageous words, already married to the second young miss, yet still scheming to wed you. Who knows what he's plotting?" Ruowei's dowry was likely stripped bare by the matriarch long ago. With such hardship, it's no wonder she's bottling up her anger. Suddenly, I recalled my past life, how Head once hurled venomous accusations at me, calling me poisonous as a scorpion. Now, those words fit Xing Ruwei perfectly. I drew the carriage curtain shut. "Let's return to the manor. It seems your act has just ended, and mine is about to begin." The grand drama continues. Xing Ruwei awaited me at Chuanruwei Pavilion. Her gaze was intense. "My people say sister and Liang Zhao spoke for some time at Puji Temple. You should ask Liang Zhao what he said." Xing Ruwei sneered. "He probably just said I've changed. or that he hopes to welcome you into the mansion. But I won't let you in. Tears welled up in her eyes. Her voice choked again as she repeated, I won't let you into the mansion. Rest assured. Sister, I want. After all, like you. I'm eager for the Yunyang Marquis mansion to crumble. The sooner it collapses, the better. Qing Ruwei froze. Sister, you. Ruwei. This charade must continue. Why waste time probing me for secrets when you should be back at the mansion strategizing your own affairs? Qing Ruwei rose. Her gaze fixed on my face. I knew it. She said bitterly. I knew why you seemed like a different person this time. You remember those events, don't you? Her bitter smile faded as tears fell. Nanny Zhang had long dismissed the servants. Only she and I remained in the spring blossom pavilion. I studied her and sneered. Sister, why pretend to be so fragile before me? Remember how wretched that night was when I died. The very next day you entered the manor. You had those servants dealt with. Was that revenge for me? It was hardly necessary. Without you, I would have personally made sure they had no place to bury their bones. Liang Zhao, the grand lady, and of course, you. But I never imagined you'd get a second chance at life. Qing Ruwei knelt on the floor. After my elder sister died, my life was far from easy. When my stepmother passed away, the Grand Duchess set her sights on the Duke of Sun's inheritance. I schemed relentlessly to help them seize it, only to end up divorced by him in the end. Throughout Bianjing, everyone mocked me for scheming endlessly, even bringing ruin upon my own family. The dowager lady called me shameless. While Liang Zhao rushed to marry the Shu prince's daughter, every plot they hatched treated me like a mere plaything. How could I not hate them? I regret it. I regret causing my elder sister's death. My brother's death. I regret even more the colossal lies I spun to climb into the Marquis household. My sister treated me with kindness, yet I wept before Liang Zhao, accusing her of being poisonous as a scorpion. I regret it. When I died, it was also a night of full moon. I lay on the cold ground. The once grand Qing mansion now in ruins. If given a chance to start over, I would never let you marry into the Marquis household again. I would skin them alive and tear them limb from limb to avenge myself. I patted her cheek, wiping away her tears. Suddenly, I grabbed her hair and slammed her violently onto the ground. Qing Ruwei, you weren't some pawn in their scheme. You orchestrated every single piece. When Liang Zhao humiliated you, when the dowager lady used you, when the Marquis household sewed the Shu prince's wedding gown, you did all this with the resolve to kill me. I remember that night clearly. You swore your hatred for me. What? Now you regret it after being manipulated yourself. Who said that because I gave you a second chance? I must stand with you on the same side, seeking the same vengeance. Do you even deserve it? Nanny Zhang. Escort the second young miss out of the estate. The Marquis' birthday banquet begins in a few days. The Marquis' wife must return to the main residence to prepare properly. There's no need to discuss such nonsense here in Chuanruwei Pavilion. Qing Ruwei left with tears in her eyes. Though Zhang Mamke knew nothing of the friction between Qing Ruwei and me, she still spoke up. Young miss, there will be quite a spectacle at the birthday banquet. Why stir up more conflict with the second young miss and only cause yourself unnecessary sorrow? Ma'am, I've played this part long enough. She must be tired of acting it out too. The day of Liang Zhao's birthday banquet. The 8th day of the 8th lunar month in auspicious date. Dressed in crimson, he greeted guests at the entrance with a radiant smile. He offered me a gentle smile as well. Numerous guests were invited today, many civil and military officials. Each harbored their own schemes. The Grand Duchess smiled with gracious humility. The Emperor himself graced the occasion with his praise. NCE. Granting immense favor. In an instant, the winds of influence among the aristocratic families shifted. No one dared mock the Yunyang Marquis household as an empty shell anymore. Instead, they arrived bearing lavish gifts. From the high dais, the Emperor spoke. Today is Liang Zhao's birthday. I have procured a rather splendid collection of trinkets from Shu for the occasion. Eunuchs from the palace carried in several large chests. Upon opening them, it was revealed they contained items previously bestowed upon the Marquis residence by the emperor himself. Even 2 chests of jewelry belonging to Xingrui were now displayed before all. The smaller boxes within the large chests bore the inscription Yunyang Marquis residence. Whispers and more. Mirth rippled through the crowd. The dowager's face darkened. Your Majesty, not long ago, the Marquis residence lost a great deal of valuables. I never imagined they would end up in Shu. I then ordered several wooden chests from the Xing residence to be brought forward. Your Majesty. This humble daughter also has some items she wishes to present for the dowager's viewing. The dowager lady shot me a glance. Miss Xing, today is my son's birthday banquet. Your second younger sister is still the mistress of this Marquis household. Why must you insert yourself at such a time? The emperor waved his hand dismissively. It matters not. I should like to see what other entertainment the dowager lattice residence has in store today. I opened the chest and produced several written agreements. The third young master of this household owes my Xing family and numerous other prominent families in the capital considerable sums. He has already pledged many of the estate's manors and shops as collateral. I ask the lady to examine these documents, though they bear the Marquisate seal and the third young master's name. This was originally a private matter between us. But as the third young master has recently vanished without a trace, I have come today to seek the dowager lattice judgment. The Grand Duchess frowned deeply. Third young master has always been wayward. Could there be some misunderstanding? I smiled faintly. To evade his creditor's pursuit and fearing the Grand Duchess might take drastic measures against him, third young master has fled. Before leaving, however, he entrusted me with a letter. It concerns a matter involving the late Marquis and my father. I request the Emperor's judgment. The letter was presented. The dowager's face turned ashen. After reading it, His Majesty handed the letter to the dowager. You should see this too. I was unaware the Yunyang Marquis household had such ties to the Prince of Shu. Had we acted sooner, we could have captured the prince alive. Today, we might have seized the Yunyang Marquis residence as well. The dowager collapsed into her seat. The Prince of Shu. How could he? The emperor spoke coldly. The Prince of Shu harbors treasonous thoughts but lacks the courage to act. You, madam, have been deceived by him for so long, sending him countless silver coins for nothing. The dowager's face drained of color. No. It can't be. Impossible. I spoke up at the right moment. Third young master also mentioned that the Shu prince's mansion is filled with concubines. Those jewels and fine robes were long ago bestowed upon his favored concubines. I've also heard that the Shu region frequently selects consorts for the PRs. By now, there must be hundreds of concubines of all ranks within the mansion. The Grand Duchess retorted. Xingrui, your words carry no weight. Third young master is absent now. This Yunyang Marquis refuses to acknowledge these written proofs. As for that letter, the old Marquis is dead, there's no one left to corroborate it. I smiled faintly. Grand Duchess, I haven't even mentioned what concerns the old Marquis and my father. Why declare it unverifiable? Could it be? You know something? She remained silent. Her gaze fixed intently upon me. When second brother escorted the Prince of Shu into the hall, the dowager suddenly rose. Yet the Prince of Shu turned away, refusing to look at her, merely bowing his head repeatedly in apology. Your Majesty, I harbored no thoughts of rebellion. I implore your discernment. All these years, it was the Lady of Yunyang who acted on her own initiative, sending silver, jewelry, and treasures to my residence. I kept them only to bestow upon others, never to maintain a private army. I beg your understanding. Then what of sending agents to sow discord between the old Marquis and General Xing? The Prince of Shu cried out in protest, shifting all blame onto the dowager. She struggled to her feet, advancing step by step from her seat toward the Prince of Shu. I exhausted myself for you, plotting your rise throughout Bianjing. It was your grand ambitions that led me to marry into the Marquisate, dedicating half my life to your schemes. You said Shu was impoverished, so I exhausted myself sending silver to your estate. When the old Marquis died, leaving the Marquis a hollow shell, I still schemed everywhere for our children. For you, Xiao Ying, do you truly have no heart at all? The dowager's words fell. Liang Zhao's face paled. Mother. The dowager realized she had spoken out of turn. She knew her schemes amounted to nothing but empty grandeur. Kneeling on the ground, she declared, Your Majesty, please discern clearly. All matters were plotted by me and the Prince of Shu. Zhao has no part in them whatsoever. Several generals from the western suburb garrison arrived belatedly. They presented the military reports from that year. In that battle, General Xing could have turned defeat into victory. Yet the late Marquis withheld reinforcements, deliberately delaying them until the old general perished. We are lowly and our words carry little weight. We dared not speak of these matters then. We merely preserved the military reports. We leave the judgment to your Majesty. The reports were laced with half-truths and half-lies from the Prince of Shu. The Prince of Shu was finally left with no defense. Even if I harbored disloyal thoughts back then, I am now old and have not raised a single soldier to threaten your Majesty's throne. Chu Yuan and I were merely childhood sweethearts. It was nothing but a foolish affair. Upon hearing this, the dowager lady lunged at the Prince of Shu, wrestling with him, all traces of a noble lattice composure gone. His Majesty ordered the Ministry of Justice to investigate the Prince of Shu and the dowager lady, demanding justice for father. After the crowd dispersed, both the dowager lady and the Prince of Shu were imprisoned, awaiting punishment. Liang Zhao slumped in the courtyard, his voice booming as he confronted me. Xing Rujue, why did you choose today to openly challenge me in my own manner? Is destroying this Marquis estate your idea of satisfaction? Now that the mask had been torn away, there was no need to continue the charade. I crouched down to meet his gaze, seized his face, and flung him aside with force. Liang Zhao, do you finally understand? The facade your mother painstakingly maintained for you was nothing but a mask-concealing scandal. Whose son are you? Could you truly be unaware? You've simply turned a blind eye. You revel in the honor and wealth your mother bestowed upon you, and you revel even more in the schemes she orchestrated for you, marrying a noble lady from a distinguished family, bringing in vast fortunes, only to be worn down to death by you and your mother, and then marrying another in her place. That's your mindset. Whether it's me or Xingrui, we're nothing more than toys you toy with on a whim. Perhaps there's a trace of affection here and there, but compared to wealth and status, that affection is utterly insignificant. Isn't it? No, it's not. My foot pressed down hard on his neck, crushing his windpipe. How does it feel to be unable to speak? How does it feel to be humiliated? How does it feel to have me crushing your throat? Your third younger brother. I skinned him alive just 2 days ago. As my foot released its grip, he cried out, How could you? How could you be so cruel? He was a living person, a member of my whole family. How could you? I carved the character for base into his face with a knife. How does it feel to have such filth carved into your face? I hear several brothels have opened in Bianjing City. As a pampered young master from a distinguished family, why not go experience them yourself? Liang Zhao's face twisted with terror as he cowered back into the corner. I am the son of a noble marquis. How could I ever set foot in such a place? My blade still dripped with his blood. He shouted, Xing Rujue, I've never wronged you. Why this fury? Because in my past life, you stood by while others humiliated me. Do you know why Xingrui drowned those servants? You, sir, will either visit the brothel or meet the same fate. Suddenly, thunder cracked and lightning flashed. Pearls of white rain fell as dark clouds engulfed the entire city of Bianjing. Gripping my blade, I dragged the unconscious Liang Zhao into the carriage and tossed him at the entrance of Xianguoguan. The torrential rain poured down on me, and I felt nothing but exhilaration. This time, the Ministry of Justice, acting on the Emperor's decree, dared not slack off. Within mere days, they had thoroughly investigated the origins of the Dowager and the Shu Prince. as well as their years of petty scheming and underhanded dealings with court officials. Justice was finally served for my father. Though the old Marquis of Yunyang had passed away, his crimes were severe. The Yunyang Marquisate was stripped of its assets and titles. The Dowager Lady was exiled to a harsh, frigid region, and the Prince of Shu was recalled to the capital, confined to a small estate on the outskirts of Bianjing. Unable to endure the humiliation at the Elephant Maiden Pavilion, Liang Zhao escaped, while residing in the Marquisate. Xing Ruwei had already administered slow-acting poison to Liang Zhao and the Dowager. Now, the time for the poison to take effect was surely approaching. That day, to honor my father and the Xing family, His Majesty conferred the title of Marquis of Ningwa upon the Xings. My eldest brother inherited the title, while my second brother was appointed general of the state and granted permission to establish his own residence. Recognizing my efforts in avenging my father and my repeated strategic maneuvers, the emperor, moved by my perseverance, further bestowed upon me the title of Lady Marquis. On the day the Xing family hosted their banquet, Mother sighed. It's no great loss if you don't marry. Your two brothers won't abandon you. Besides, you're a Lady Marquis now, who would look down on you? But Ruowei has vanished without a trace. Who knows where she's gone? Amidst the guests, I suddenly spotted a familiar face and rushed into the Xing family's rear courtyard. Gripping my dagger, I sprinted into the courtyard to find Liang Zhao standing with his back to me, dressed as a servant. He held a knife pressed against my cousin Rian's throat. Raging wildly in the courtyard, he snarled, "So this was your plan all along? Su Riansha's one of your people too. Xing Rujue. Today I'll skin you alive. If not for you, I'd still be a marquis. My mother wouldn't have been exiled, and I wouldn't have been sent to that place of humiliation." Before he could continue, I grabbed my quiver and fired an arrow into his back. Several arrows struck him in quick succession, though not fatal. They robbed him of the strength to threaten Rian further. Then Xing Ruwei appeared from somewhere. She shielded Liang Zhao from an arrow aimed at his chest. Mother froze in shock. The servants in the mansion gasped. I walked to Xing Rian, who lay on the ground. Her hand gently grasped my skirt hem. "Sister, perhaps I truly am foolish. I still cannot bear to see him die. Even though in my past life, he tormented me so terribly, I still couldn't help but shield him from this arrow. Sister, I have wronged you. In this life, you deserve a splendid future. Before, I was cruel and reckless. Sister, please forgive me." My tears fell upon her face. I pulled my skirt from her grasp. "No, Xing Ruwei, I will not let you die. Every time you come close to death, I will do everything in my power to save you. I want you to remember your past cruelty every single day. I want you to repent every single day. I want you to think of that bastard Liang Zhao every single day. Even after 2 lifetimes, he remains a bastard." Liang Zhao was sent to the Shu King's forbidden grounds, treated as a plaything by the Shu King's own children. Day after day, she endured whippings and abuse. Her future was nothing but suffering. After Xing Ruwei was rescued, she voluntarily sought refuge at Puji Temple to practice Buddhism. The abbot said everything has its cause and effect. Before I descended the mountain, the abbot asked me, "Do you remember what I told you last time at Puji Temple? All phenomena are empty, but cause and effect are not empty. Everything is cause and effect." Stroking his beard, the abbot continued, "You once asked me, flowers never bloom for 100 days, and youth never returns. But what if youth could return? I shall tell you this. Your rebirth is the karmic outcome of that Ruwei girl from your past life. She prayed before ancient Buddha statues and flickering lamps for 10 years to achieve it. Yet cause and effect are intertwined. This old monk can no longer discern right from wrong." I froze. What did she pray for herself? The abbot smiled faintly. Nothing for herself. Only that you might live again. That the Buddha might grant her wish and redeem her sins. I turned my head away, a tear falling to the ground. That March, spring blossoms were in full splendor. Shed coaxed and charmed me. her repeated sister melting my resolve. I knew this lifetime I would never return to Puji Temple. Bitter fruit. Evil fruit, all are karma. Entangled debts and grievances. Each harbors inexplicable thoughts. We owe each other. Torment each other. Bestow favors upon each other. Who can claim to be the most virtuous soul in the world, never having committed a single wrong, never having harbored a single malicious thought? I turned to gaze at the small corner of the temple behind Puji Temple, searching my heart. Was there truly not a shred of self-serving intent in my kindness toward her back then, using my legitimate birth to earn myself a good reputation? I sighed. Nanny Zhang helped me down the mountain. Lady Marquis, where shall we go now? The world is full of splendor. Mother has lived as a widow for so many years, worrying herself sick for us. Now that we've settled our past affairs, why not take her to see the world, to enjoy its beauty? Xing Ruwei. The side story. I am Xing Ruwei, the concubine-born daughter of the Xing household. My mother was Chen Xianyang, a cook in a small frontier town. My father fought in wars for years, deeply devoted to his legitimate wife. Yet men can never truly control their desires. He betrayed my mother, and I was conceived. Mother's fate was bitter. After years as a concubine, she fell ill and died in that frontier town just before father returned to Beijing. She never got to see the capital she longed for. A thin coffin, a hasty burial. Father had once sought my mother's company daily. Yet after her passing, he shed not a single tear. When he looked at me, his brow furrowed as if I were nothing but a burden. I knew his worry lay in how he would explain my existence to his beloved wife upon returning to Beijing. For a general stationed at the frontier for years to suddenly father a daughter with a lowly kitchen maid, how embarrassing it would be to Rev. Ill such a thing. My stepmother, raised in the noble household of the Duke of Sun, was upright and kind-hearted. She treated me as her own, never once mistreating me. I still remember when mother was gravely ill, clutching my hand and worrying that upon returning to the capital, I would be mistreated by the eldest madam, treated like a plaything as in the storybooks. The kinder and more affectionate they were to me, the more I felt like an outsider. My eldest and second brothers would take Xingrujue to view lanterns, admire flowers, and cruise the river. When Xingrujue made mistakes, she faced scolding, but I never did. One day, I overheard my eldest brother whisper to my second brother, "Ru Wei wasn't born from the same womb as us. Naturally, we can't scold her. Wei must treat her kindly. Ru Ju won't hold it against us. But Ru Wei is still young. If she harbors any misplaced thoughts, wouldn't that bring unrest to our household?" I crouched in the corner and wept for a long time. Under the full moon, Xingrujue lay in her mother's arms, cooing and playing the darling. Father, stationed year-round at the Western Garrison, never meddled in household affairs. I was the second young miss of the Xing household, the second young miss born to a concubine, secretly scorned by the maids and servants. Had it not been for the kindness of the mistress and the young masters and mistresses, had I been born into another family, I would have endured unimaginable suffering. This was the truth I had known since childhood. The kinder Xingrujue treated me, the more I resented her. She would present me with gifts before the servants, help me dress and apply makeup, and take me to banquets reserved for noble ladies. The more cautious and reserved I became, the more graceful and unrestrained she appeared. These moments felt like invisible slaps across my face. Later, when the Dowager of Marquis Yunyang came to our estate to request the marriage contract, Xingrujue was gentle and gracious. Liang Zhaoxing, with his extraordinary appearance, stood tall and graceful. A single glance was enough to stir a faint stir in the heart. During those days, I followed Xingrujue everywhere. She often went to Puji Temple to worship the Buddha, and I would tag along. I was gambling, betting that Liang Zhao would find an opportunity to see his betrothed. Finally, one day outside Puji Temple, I encountered Liang Zhao. I poured every ounce of effort into seducing him, making him cherish and adore me. I recounted all the grievances I'd endured over the years, embellishing them with dramatic exaggeration. In my telling, the ethereal Shinrujue was a wicked woman who humiliated me at every turn, beating and scolding me under the pretext of her status as the legitimate elder sister. Liang Zhao pitied me. Yet he couldn't defy the authority of the grand lady. I watched him marry Shinrujue into the household. The grand wedding shook the entire city of Bianjing. The old Duke of Sun generously added many dowry items for his granddaughter, making the ceremony both prestigious and magnificent. But on his wedding night, Liang Zhao secretly had me brought to the mansion. We hid in the room next to the bridal chamber. He said, "That slut Shinrujue, don't you want to humiliate her properly? Make her unfit to be the matriarch of a noble house. Let the Xing family send you in her place." I froze. "What are you planning?" Liang Zhao wrapped his arm around my waist. "Ruwei." I drugged my good-for-nothing third brother with aphrodisiacs. "Hell, take my place in the bridal chamber." Shinruju's screams echoed through the courtyard, which Liang Zhao had already cleared of all servants. No one could come to her aid. Just as I was about to rush out, Liang Zhao lifted my chin. "Ruwei, if you go now, all our efforts will be wasted. Don't you want to be the mistress of this Marquis household? Don't you want to be my Marquis?" And so, as if possessed, I stood rooted to the spot. I watched with my own eyes as Shinrujue was locked in the woodshed. I witnessed the grand lady employ every trick in her arsenal to have my eldest and second brothers transferred away from Bianjing City. My stepmother, widowed for years, had no choice but to arrange my marriage into the Xing household. I even fell into the grand lattice trap, conspiring with them to orchestrate the deaths of my eldest and second brothers, seizing the vast Xing family estate and the Duke of Sun's domain for myself. Liang Zhao said he would love me forever. I comforted myself. It didn't matter. Those family members never regarded me as kin. With or without them, it made no difference. As long as Liang Zhao loved me wholeheartedly, I could survive. As long as I became the mistress of a noble household, my mother in heaven would surely be pleased for me. The day Shinrujue died, my heart ached unbearably. Staring at her delicate, beautiful face, I felt a deep shame. I spat out venom, declaring I had hated her to the core for years. Yet when her eyes closed, a hollow void opened in my soul. Later, Liang Zhao married a noble lady and cast me out. The Xing household collapsed, and the Duke of Sun's mansion stood empty. Liang Zhao declared, "You would even plot against your own sister. How could I keep such a poisonous woman as my wife?" The dowager said, "You're merely a concubine's daughter. How could you ever be worthy of my son?" Heartbroken and despairing, I climbed to Puji Temple. My elder sister was gone. The Xing household was gone. Kneeling before the ancient Buddha and flickering lamp, I prayed day after day for my elder sister, Shinrujue, to live again. I begged for the Xing household to be reborn. 10 years later, the sound of a wooden fish echoed. Suddenly, I stood outside the main hall of Puji Temple. My eyes snapped open, and I saw my elder sister's back. I knew my wish had come true. Her gaze upon me was icy cold, and my heart sank. I watched as she lifted me high, step by step, escorting me into the home mansion to become Liang Zhao's wife. Following her scheme, I willingly fell into the trap she had dug, entering the mansion to atone for my sins. Even if she hadn't plotted, Liang Zhao and the dowager would not have lived out the year. To play out the charade completely, to delay her discovery of my true self, I feigned foolishness. I rushed to my stepmother's presence, spouting nonsense to convince her I remained the same vicious, stupid Shinrujue. Holding on to a sliver of hope, I asked her, "Sister, will you ever forgive me?" Her face remained as cold as frost. "No." "Good. That is my retribution. To let you live another life while remembering the past is my retribution. Sister, I wish you a splendid future and a life filled with happiness." Afterward, Liang Zhao died in a dark, gloomy woodshed. Memories of his past life suddenly flashed through his mind. He finally understood why Shinrujue and Shinrujue both called him and Shinrujue husband and wife across 2 lifetimes. What Xingrui and Xingrujue didn't know was that after their deaths in the previous life, he had married the adopted daughter of the king of Shu. That adopted daughter had squandered the entire Marquis's fortune. The vast Marquis became the Shu king's possession, and his own mother was killed by the Shu king. Filled with rage and injustice, he used his last ounce of strength to crawl to the Shu king's chambers. The Shu king merely looked at him with contempt. "You are not my son. All my mother's scheming was for you," the king of Shu murmured, his arm around his beautiful concubine. "I never touched her. How could there be a son? Those nights she thought we shared were merely my servants entering her chambers after I drugged her. As for whose child you truly are, even your mother likely didn't know. I lived comfortably in my fiefdom, and the silver your mother willingly sent as a lowly woman, why not use it?" Liang Zhao. You, the Shu king, looked down on him with contempt. "You're just as foolish as your mother." As his last breath left him, the stern, unyielding face of his mother haunted his mind, reaping what he sowed. He couldn't even decide whom to blame. Meanwhile, in the bitterly cold lands 1,000 miles away, the dowager had long been wrapped in straw mats and discarded in a mass grave. Clutched in her embrace were the love letters exchanged in secret with the Shu king during her youth. Until her dying breath, she clung to the image of the young Shu king, a vision she had romanticized countless times in her mind. The end.